Good morning, and good morning. How you doing? How are you doing this morning? You know, this towel has been on this chair. It was here yesterday. It's here again today. I'm going to take it off. It's bugging me. I got to really pay attention to it this morning. But anyway, hoping you had having a good morning. Hoping Wednesday night went well for you, that you got rest, that you found, a place of peace, an oasis, a place of joy. I hope all that happened yesterday. I hope you didn't have any bad things happen to you like we talked a couple of days ago. And today's discussion is on the sky, the reaching for the sky. Sometimes we can stay in what I call the doldrums of life. We can be at our lowest levels and remain there for a long time. So when we get the opportunity to talk about, our joy, our reach up, our sky, whatever, that's it. That's what we need to do. Good morning, sunshine. How are you? It's good to see you in the space here. But I just went to bed last night, and I wasn't done with what I all I needed to say, but I said, you know what? I try to keep, the words kind of small, so then I can get time enough to really get in a good discussion. So today, I'm going to take you back a little bit to your childhood, and we're going to talk about what it was like when you were little to look up to the sky or even fly a kite and just seeing the stars and seeing the moon. And as you got older, it might have been looking at the Little Dipper or the Big Dipper, or the celestial body that is out there, that is very interesting. And I think when I was coming up, I was a lot more interested than I am now. I'm too busy to just try to pay attention to where I'm driving and how I'm walking and what I'm doing, as opposed to looking up. But when I do take out the time and I do have an opportunity to be out at night, it's really pleasant to see so much is up there, so much. And if we were to look at explaining all that's there, we might find some interesting facts just about what that sky can do. It's obviously up, and up, it just means just that, the fact that you're not looking down, you're looking up, and up means higher, up means moving towards something. And so we really want to talk about that. But I'm going to ask you this question this morning. Are you stuck? Yes, periodically we're all going to be stuck. We're going to be stuck on something, stuck on doing stuff, stuck on not doing stuff. And I told you I'm in the middle of my rediscovering of what I need to do for myself to live better going forward. And so, that was a revelation to me that happened during that storm that we had. I just said, "Oh my God, too much, too much, too much." And so, how do you thin things out and get things back in order and really look at yourself on being positive? And so, I said, if I'm talking positivity to you, I also periodically have to talk positivity to myself. So yesterday I did a few things which I feel are moving in the right direction. I'm ordering a dumpster for the purpose of, I need a new front door, and just a whole bunch of little things that I'm just putting together to just say change, to make some change. And I'm excited about that because sometimes change gives you a new outlook. If you just remain in the same place doing the same thing with the same folks, you never make any changes. And so I'm excited about making this change and just looking up to the sky of whatever I'm reaching for that's higher than me, higher than what it is that I've dreamed yesterday. I'm looking up. So look, I'm gonna take you back to your childhood a little bit. This is called Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Now, I got to be honest with you, I didn't know all of this whole uh, lullaby. And the reason I didn't know it is because we always stopped just after the first verse. So I never knew all of it. But anyway, we're going to try it together. Good morning, Lawson, my little nephew in New York. And so it's by this poem, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, is by Jane Taylor. And it says, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. When the blazing sun is gone, when he nothing shines upon, then you show your little light, twinkle, twinkle, all the night. Good morning, Crystal. Then the traveler in the dark thanks you for your tiny spark. He could not see which way to go if you did not twinkle so. In the dark blue sky you keep, and often through my curtains peep. For you never shut your eye till the sun is in the sky, as you bright and tiny spark lights the traveler in the dark, though I know not what you are, twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, how I wonder what you are. The fact that the sky can have that amazing, what I would call, lead for you to look up and maybe find direction like the traveler because of the light. Or maybe you can just get involved in what the stars are forming. You know, that's beautiful. You can't do anything with that but say that looking up in this instance towards the sky is a good thing. It's a thing that really puts you in a pleasant way to just say, I'm not looking down. I have an idea that I know what I want to do, and I want to move up and out on something that I've set for myself. And so that's what Twinkle Twinkle Little Star does. It really is just saying, hey, look, it's up there. It's like a diamond up there. It's something shining just for me if I reach for it. And are you reaching for your sky this morning? Are you reaching up and not looking down? I hope so. I hope so. So when we talk about sky, it says it's a symbolic meaning of sky. It represents infinity, eternity, immorality, and it says and transcendence. So it really looks at what's beyond. Hi, Kiwanis. It is the residence of God's order. Okay, because some people won't speak about the fact that it's God's house. You know, we've always talked about when we pray, we're praying to God. We're praying up. We're praying up. When we raise our hands, we might be in church or something. We're praising up. Okay, it says it, and the sky is the region in the atmosphere and outer space seen from the Earth's which is also atmosphere and stratosphere. So that's what we're looking at. When we look up, we can't even determine where all that ends because it looks like there is no end when we look up. All we see is sky. We may see clouds in the daytime. We may see the sun in the morning. We may see the moon at night, and then all the other celestial bodies that are out there. But it talks about just the whole concept of what the sky is. The sky represents the upper, the outer, the beauty, the body of what I would call, looking at just so many things that are pretty. Sometimes when I look up at the sky, I say, wow, that looks like, and I'm imagining what it looks like. It may be that the clouds have formed something. And, oh, good. Thank you, Kiwanis. Or it may be that the stars are forming something at night. But sometimes I look up and I'm just amazed. And one of my favorite things when I go home to New York is I love getting on the New York State Thruway. And when you're driving down, like from Albany down to the city, oh my God, it just seemed like the road just winds and it winds and it winds. And as you're going around the corners, you would all of a sudden see this vista of beauty in the sky that's far off. And it's forming stuff. It may be a horse. It may be, a flower. It may be trees. You see things, that you've just imagined. Wow, that just gives me pleasure. It gives me some pleasance, to just see that. That concept, that idea is just wonderful. So anyway, that's what we do when we're looking at the sky. But then I'm going to break it down. I always going to break down something. So when I break it down, the S is for space. Space. Because that's what the sky is. They have all of these, the rockets, and, that we're getting back into sending people in outer space, sending them to the moon, and can you imagine? Can you imagine to look from the moon back down on Earth and all the space that's in between those two? When they send back the pictures, and the pictures show how the Earth looks from space. That's interesting to me. Very, very interesting. So anyway, when we talk about space, it says it's a continuous area or expanse which is free, available, or unoccupied. That's space. It says, or it's the dimensions of height, of depth, and of width within which all things exist and move. We move through space through the day, all through the day. Okay? We are a part, our lives are a part of the space that we live in. Even when we drive our cars, we have to stay in our own space in order to get from point A to point B. We get out of space. Sometimes we might be in an accident, or we might have did a traffic violation of some sort. So we understand that space has its purpose. There's always space at everything that we're involved in has space around it. Now sometimes they say you can get in a tight space. In fact, I was looking at TV yesterday, and it showed a car that, for people that don't know how to parallel park, the car parallel parks itself in a tight space. Growing up in New York, I know for sure, for a fact, if you could not parallel park, you could not get a license in New York. Why? Because there were very few garages. Okay, we didn't have a garage. I thought I was living it up big, moving down here and having a garage. I remember my family coming down and saying, "Girl, you're living well." But basically, we learned how to parallel park. Okay, our cars could not be in the middle of the street. Good morning, Maurice. They could not be in the middle of the street. Okay, they could, and then you about parallel parking, you had to be so good. You had to know which side of the street to park it on, and you had to be parking it in the direction that the on the side of the street that you're on. So you just couldn't park just because you wanted to. Okay, you couldn't park the car going the opposite direction, and all the other cars are parked in the other direction. You couldn't do it. All the cars had to be parked in the same direction, and then, I think I told you this before, by 6 a.m., the cars had to be moved to the other side of the street. So if you were a heavy sleeper, you probably had some tickets, okay? Or you came out and your car was booted. That's the way New York is. That's how it's still like that today. Still like that today. That's why most people, like in the city, they do not, Guten Morgen, good morning to you too, Juanita. What they do is they have this understanding that if you're going to live in New York, you have to, if you're going to be in the city, you're probably going to do public transportation. Otherwise, you're just going to have a lot of tickets. Because you see cars, not double parked, but triple parked, and parked up to quads, where you have 4 cars across, okay, trying to go in the store, buy something to eat, whatever they're doing, okay? It just does it like that. But anyway, when we talk about space, we're talking about the room, the expanse, the extent, the capacity, the period, because there's also a period that may be a space of time that you have to do something in. The span, the time, the duration, the stretch, the boundaries that you have. That's like when I talk about us driving someplace. It says the compass and the extension. So all those have to do with space. And so we understand that there's a great distance between us and the sky. Even if we go up, 30,000 feet, like when we're flying, they'll say, we're comfortably flying at 30,000 feet. But you know what? To just think that there's just thousands and thousands and thousands more feet that we can't even get to. Can't even get to, you know. I mean, a rocket may travel for what? Half of a day, day and a half to get to the moon. So that just shows you how much space there is between where we are as these mortal beings down here on earth and what's up in the sky and how long it takes to get there. Interesting stuff. Interesting. No, I wasn't good in science, but I was always interested. I always asked questions. So it wasn't like I wasn't great at it, but I was interested enough to make a decent grade. When that was after I got the first grade, that wasn't a good grade. And I said, well, in order for me to get into college, I'm gonna have to change this grade, which is what I had to do. But the next word for the K in sky is knowledge. Knowledge. It says it's your facts, it's your information, your skills acquired by a person through experience or education. It's the theoretical or the practical understanding of a subject. So when you're really talking about space, sometimes you only have so much space and time to learn some things. And if you learn them well, then you do them well. Okay? Because that's when you become proficient in something. When you don't learn them well, maybe you didn't have enough space. How many of you write it in the thread if you were a crammer, where you cram for the exam the night before instead of steadily working on things all along? Well, you know, I tell you, my first year in college, I didn't know about studying. We didn't study, so I didn't know. And after I got that first D minus 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 in my first year of college, it was my second semester. Oh man, I went to the teacher and asked her, well, why'd you give me that? What she said was, because you made an effort. You didn't do well at it, but you made an effort. So sometimes we're rewarded just to stay in the game, and that still gives us an opportunity to look up, to be grateful for the fact that somebody didn't look at us and say that we should be thrown away. They looked at us and said they need help, and that's what she did. Her name was Dr. Dickerson, and she was a real young doctor. But I think she'd be proud of me today. You know, she would be proud of me. But I made it through. But here's the thing: is that when you have knowledge, you can go up. When you have knowledge, when you are left in the dark and you have no information, you can't contribute anything to the conversation. You can't be a part of the discussion. You're left out. You're left out. You know. So to me, the importance of being knowledgeable also says is that I want to understand. I want to be a part of the conversation. I want to be in command. I want to master something, because it says that that's what, you know, knowledge is to be able to say that you mastered a particular area. And so you know how much time it is you have to learn that. And sometimes it takes us longer to learn stuff than shorter. It just takes us a long time to learn things that may be difficult to comprehend. But it says it's also when you have knowledge, you've accomplished something. You become wise. You become the news, because you're part of the delivery of the news. You become philosophical. And of course, you become the enlightenment, meaning you've enlightened yourself where you can also enlighten others. And so all of that is part of what happens. And then of course, the what I call the supreme W out of all of that is that you become wise. You have wisdom when you have studied yourself to know something. And so when I look at my space and time to learn things, my space and time to do things, my space and time to go places, certainly tells me that it's important for me to look at my space, look at how much I have to learn in that space, and then head it up to the sky. I got to reach for it. I have to make it my own. I have to make it myself committed to it, that it's worth me learning. It's worth me doing. And sometimes some of our best lessons are when we've fallen down far enough to realize that we must get back up. We must look up. We must reach up, and we must absolutely pull ourselves up. No one's going to do it for you. They may give you a hand, but guess what? Eventually, you're on your own. You're on your own. And so you need to really look at what reaching for the sky really is, and how it really, you if you're a praying person, you may want to pray it up. I got to pray this up. I got to give it to him. Okay, I need to tell him that I need help. I need to learn how to do something that I'm having trouble with. And all of us have experienced trouble with something. We're going to do that. That's the nature of our existence. And we don't need to be shy if we need help to ask somebody for help, especially if you know that one can help you. Don't be upset if they can't help you at the time you need the help, but be honest and say, hey, look, when time permits, can you give me some assistance? Can you help me? Can you help me do something? Now the why of sky is your yearning for something. You cannot move forward unless it's in your spirit, it's in your makeup, it's in your head, that you have to change something, you have to do something, you have to be excited about something. In order to do that, the only way you can ever do that is that deep inside there is a yearning to make the change. There's a yearning to learn something. There's a yearning to do something, go someplace, be about something. And in order for you to do that, you have to commit to it. And so yearning is a feeling of intense longing, meaning I long for some things to change. I long for me to be able to, speak a foreign language proficiently. I long to do that. So sometimes our longings, basically they become our yearnings, and that becomes how we can reach up to the sky. We have to identify them. We have to say, this is what I want to do. This is how I need to go about getting here. But a lot of times we head out and we have no direction, or we head out and we don't know, we don't even have any instructions for ourselves. Like I think whenever I'm doing projects, and I'm good at doing projects, I'm good at being organized, but then I find that I failed myself when it comes time to me doing certain things, within my house, only because now, yeah, the house is clean, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, just looking at, when you stay someplace a long time, you settle in. You settle in. And you don't worry about the fact that, well, I don't know what's over there on that bench in the garage anymore, Well, the other thing is that I never knew, because it came with the house. So whatever was there when we when we bought the house years ago, that's what's still there. So I'm getting rid of all of that stuff, and that's my excitement. That is my excitement. That's my joy. That's my reaching to the sky. That's my change. I'm yearning to weed out, to get rid of, to just make a change, and it's a positive change. When we're changing, we need to look at how positive it is for us to look at the sky and say, I'm not going back down. This is what I need to do. And when I settle, I'm settling on something new. I'm settling on something I want. I'm settling on something I need. And so when it talks about yearning, it says this is this intense feeling, but it's also a wish. It's a hankering. It's a need. I'm going to say it again. It's a need, meaning I need to do this. Okay? It's a thirst. It's your appetite. It may be a lust. It may be a lust, an ache, a fancy, and an itch. All those things speak to what our yearning is for moving up. Our yearning is for moving up, for reaching for the sky. Positive, absolutely, Maurice, positive change, moving forward. You cannot move forward and up if all you see is the ground and you're sitting on it, And I'm going to share some of my poetry with you, not today, but in my throwing away, giving away stuff, I found some poetry that I wrote years ago. And I said, that's pretty good, good stuff. So I want to share it with you. And one of the poems really talks about, just the fact of having, a yearning to change, a yearning to do something different, trying something different. And sometimes I think we get stuck on scared. We get stuck on what we're used to, and we won't step out. We won't step out where there's fear there, Now, no, you're never going to see me jump out of a plane. That's not going to happen. I'm not interested in, getting on one of those things that moves from rope to rope. I'm not interested in that. You know, I'm not interested in walking barefoot on the beach. No. Um, there's just certain things that I want to do. Like I would just love to continue to have my sessions with people like I'm doing now, and just constantly exploring ideas and opening up minds, opening up hearts, opening up a way forward for them. Because this, to me, even though I'm talking to you, this is personal. It's your personal idea of what you get from our discussion, but it's also personal for you to make any changes that you see that you need to make, and to open up discussions for yourself. Because sometimes our best discussions are with ourselves. Come on now. Our best discussions. We may wake up in the middle of the night and we're troubled. We may wake up in the middle of the night and we've been given something. We need to write it down. Like, that's me. Like, a lot of times when I'm writing for a book, or I'm writing, for an article, just what I'm doing, I'm constantly taking down notes. And then I also use things during my day of what might have triggered a thought. And sometimes I follow that thought and see if the thought gives me some higher energy towards reaching. Once again, I'm reaching up, reaching to the sky on what I can do with that. And to me, that makes it important to you just as it makes it important for myself. Just understanding that we're given stuff all day long. What do we do with it? What do we do with it? If we continue to just what I call harbor ideas, then all we have is just a whole bunch of ideas. So act on them. Act on them. Reach up with them. Move to the sky. Constantly pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. Nobody can take you down if you've decided that the elevator you're on is only for one. Nobody can. When you've decided that maybe you want to go back to school and get a degree, or maybe you want a new car, you want a new house, maybe you want a better relationship with someone, you have to reach up for it. You can't expect it all to lie within yourself, because silence does just what it does. It's silent. No one knows. If you don't tell them, no one knows. If you haven't moved on it, then you're not doing anything. And once again, no one knows. Because a lot of times people will see you work and they'll get out your way because they're watching you rise. They're watching you rise. And yeah, there's people that could be jealous. There's people that could be envious of you moving in your way. But guess what? It's your way. It is your way. And it is a positive change when you've made these decisions for yourselves, looked up for yourself, prayed it up for yourself, expected it for yourself, wrote it down for yourself, all of that. She said, love it. Yes, best discussions are with ourselves and come from God above. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes we don't even know where something is given to us, and it all folds. You don't even know it. You have no idea. But it just falls into place. It falls into place. And sometimes I wake up extremely excited just about what I dreamt the night before, what I was awakened to, and a lot of times I will write it down, as I said. But now they did say, I took a sleep and dreams class one time, and I do remember that they say that when you're given something in the middle of the night, you could go ahead and write it down. But in order to recall it, you can't move very much once it's been given to you. You have to take account and really delve into it so that you don't go back to sleep. Because the mind, once it goes back to sleep, it can also just put things to the side. And it may not be as clear to you where you want to take it, what you want to do with it when you're trying to think it up again. So a lot of times I am a disruptive sleeper. I'll wake up, write something down, going back to sleep. And then I'll wake up in the morning again and I said, wow, that's pretty cool. So I've always done that, and I'm not a hard sleeper unless I've just been, up doing a lot of work, and sometimes I will fall into bed. But anyway, when we look at our sky, we need to be looking up. We need to be looking out for ourselves. We need to have a plan, to have a plan of what it means for us to be positive, upward, forward, not changing anything for others, changing for ourselves. Because sometimes if we change for ourselves, others will come. They will be there. They'll like the change. They'll like the change. So anyway, here's our questions for today, and I'm on track too. I'm on track. It's 9:31. We started at 9. Question number 1. Good morning, Candace. How you doing, sweetie? Anyway, when we talk about, the sky, here's the first question. Do you really reach for the sky when planning out your life's goals? Do you reach for the sky, or do you say to yourself, I can't do that. I want to do it, but I can't do it. Sometimes, people don't realize that the worm walks slow. But guess what? The worm sometimes will arrive faster than the turtle, who's also slow. You just never know. You never know. Moving out on what it is you believe. Good morning, Gloria. Moving out. Deciding that it's your thing to do, you're going to do it. That's a way forward. And setting your goals in life, some of us have retired from one thing, but then we still are given other goals. And I believe that the person that lives a long life is the person that never gives up on it. Is the person that every day gets up and has a plan. Is a person that constantly is looking, high into the sky of just saying, yes, I got something else I want to do. Yes, I mean, my girlfriends have teased me because they said I'm the only one that they know that has actually picked up 2 jobs during the pandemic, whereas other people have lost jobs. And I said, that's just the way it is. I did. I did. I have 2 new jobs, but I knew something was coming. I didn't know what was coming initially, but now I do. It's clearer to me now that I'm renovating, and having a renovation says I need a little money. I need a little money. So that's my new way forward, my new up, my new sky is that I'm reaching for. But anyway, question number 2, do you remain in your own space, or do you stretch and expand outside established boundaries? So like when people tell you, well, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that, do you listen to them and stay right there? Come on now. A lot of times people will tell you what you can't do. And you have to decide what you can. You have to also decide when you can do it. And who are you doing it for? If you're doing it for them, that may be an issue. If you're doing it for yourself, not only will you probably reach your goal, because once it's a goal, that means you've set it up as something that you're reaching for. Once it is a goal and it's in your sky, then you're going to stay on it. You're just going to stay on it, As I said, I remember when I decided to go back and get my doctorate, there were several people said, girl, come on now. You got a good job, you have your house, you have this, you have that. You don't need no doctorate. It wasn't given to them. It was given to me. And sometimes you have to understand that when something is given to you, it's for you. It's for you. It's not for anybody else. It was given to you for the purpose of you working it. Whatever way you want to work it. And it may take you a long time to work it. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes goals are far out there. They're far to be reached. But guess what? If you like that worm, like that turtle, the tortoise was faster. But if you just keep moving up, eventually you're going to have it. Good morning, Cassandra. How's Texas? You're just going to keep moving up and up and up and up. And no one can say anything about that because it's yours. It's your vision. It's your goal. It's your space. You own it. You own it. Okay? The next question is, how knowledgeable are you about your limits to your sky? Your sky. I didn't say anybody else's sky, because everybody's going to look at the sky and see different things. They may look at the sky and see clouds. Maybe from their vantage point, that's all they see is clouds. Maybe where you're looking, you see a vista of blue. In fact, that's why I wore blue today. So you would understand that it's a sky day for me. I'm looking up. I'm looking up. I'm looking out. I'm looking what's next. Where can I go? How can I get there? What do I need to establish and along the way? And it says to know what my limits are. Well, I'll be honest with you. I a lot of times will not give myself the limits as I used to. When I was younger, I gave myself more limits. I'm a little bit more limitless now, where I say I'm gonna try that. Not I'm still not going skydiving. I'm still not swinging rope to rope. So those things, no. And I'm still not eating anything soggy and wet. That's out. But other things, yes. Texas for me is doing well. Good, Cassandra. Okay, and the last question is, do you yearn to go higher into your sky? And your sky means you own it. You own this sky. No one else owns it. This part of the sky is yours. Where you're headed. That's your goal. That's where that, and it says, will you fly like an eagle? An eagle flies extremely high. Will you fly like an eagle? Will you be up above what you've been through, up above all the things that have hurt you, all the things that have distracted you, all the things that have frustrated you, angered you, and sometimes even loved you? Are you above all of that? And sometimes we can only get there if we keep that yearning. It's almost like I have gas to cook with. And so during the hurricane, I could have cooked. But if you can't see much, child, I'm not going to be burning down my house. So anyway, they have, in order for the gas pilots to work, it is an electric ignition. So I still needed a clicker in order to get it to turned on. So, I could boil water for tea and that kinds of stuff. So I did that. But sometimes you never realize you're handicapped, okay? Or you don't realize all the things you have until you don't have them, okay? And sometimes you also cannot realize all the things you yearn for because you never get in the yearn line. You always say, I'm okay. What I have is enough. Not always. In order for us every day to be enriched, to be excited, to be, forward, we have to put something else on the table, something else that we plan, something else that we look to as opposed to from, And I know the pandemic has scared us off from a lot of stuff, people, places, things, plain and simple. And so we need to be certainly mindful that when we go out, we still must cover up. We still must, make sure that we keep our distance and just be what I say, be mindful of, where we're at. And so it just requires us to just do something towards moving up along this pendulum of flying to our sky, aiming, setting goals, having a yearning, looking at the space that we have. Because space isn't just, the atmosphere around us. It's also space and time, how much time we have to do it. How much time will we give ourselves to do? So those are all the things that really speak to what heading for the sky is all about. We need to reach, how many of you have made a new goal that would be considered in your sky while going through this pandemic? Anybody? Has anybody done that? I know I have. I've done a couple of things, so I'm mindful of the fact that sometimes because we've been blocked off in one area, that we block ourselves off in another area. And that's just the opposite. If I'm blocked off over here and I can't go that many places, then what I need to do is use what I have going forward where I can go. And so because I can go in my house and because I can write and because I can do research and all those things, then that has been my refuge, and then completing a book during quarantine has been another interesting thing. Now, yeah, some of the stuff was started before, but to complete it during quarantine was a big deal. But anyway, I love you guys. I love you for coming. And as I said, there's always a lot more people that have seen the video. However, I guess because you all are my friends and that's why you all show up. But the other ones, I end up and I see a lot of people on the other side once the video is played during the day. But I want you to have a great day. I want you to reach for your sky. I want you to have a yearning. Place the yearning deep inside yourselves, that you know that there's something you want to do and that you're willing to reach to the sky for it. Also, really look at how much time, what's the space, not just distance, but also space of time, to get something done. And sometimes when we place goals on stuff and we put what I would call a deadline on it, we're more apt to reach the deadline, or at least be closer to it, of reaching the goal when we place the deadline on something. But anyway, I say, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder who you are. Not what, who you are. You twinkle today. Be your own sky, head on up, decide what you want. Certainly be a blessing to yourselves. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I thank you for stopping in. I got us done at 9:42. I love you, I love you, I love you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Have a good day.